Before I go any further, I'm going to address the fact that this is a bit of an older article, but at the same time, it seems quite interesting to read a script that I kind of wrote about before the COVID times and about an article that was pre-COVID times. It just kind of gives you a bit of an insight into the world that was before. So I'm going to have a little go at this, but bear that in mind, okay? A little over a month ago from writing this script, Paul Joseph Watson of InfoWars fame and career soy boy wrote a fascinatingly strange article titled "Hospitals to Deny Care to Racist or Homophobic Patients." Now, having seen this, I initially thought, but Jeremy Clarkson has been treated by the NHS before. I don't know why they'd change that now. I wonder what Paul is on about. So, let's have a little look. So throughout Paul's first paragraph, he uses a lot of quotation marks to highlight certain phrases, such as racist and homophobic, and cites that many elderly patients will be totally unfamiliar with modern politically correct speech codes, and says that they may be falsely accused and their care revoked. And I have a small problem with this, as the article Paul cites refers to this as currently staff can refuse to treat non-critical patients who are verbally aggressive or physically violent towards them. These protections will extend to any harassment, bullying or discrimination, including homophobic, sexist or racist remarks. The idea that we have to worry about someone being verbally aggressive or physically violent when waiting for non-critical care that they may be falsely removed from their care is unbelievable. Especially as I have worked in a care home before, Paul. I did it for a number of months and I have done it again since. And there is a distinct difference between some of the older generation accidentally using a phrase that is not okay, as it was with a lack of understanding, for example Alzheimer's, and that of someone either of the same generation or younger making racist, LGBT-phobic, sexist, misogynistic, you name it, we've got it comments with the venom and vitriol that you have to want to make people hurt with your bigotry. It's honestly not that hard. I've been on the receiving end of both. I'm going to be honest, a lot of older people have more care than the boomer generation because they actually saw a lot of these changes and were affected by them. They didn't cordon off their hearts to it. Not saying all, but the number is higher than you'd think if you actually look into it and talk about it. Paul also mentions a story from Jack Montgomery. This story, funnily, is not linked to at all, so with a little bit of journalistic integrity, I had to search for the phrases used. This led me to Anglican Mainstream, other than about 40 links from Breitbart, an online publication or collectivization of other publications with such lovely headlines as The Death of Death, an antidote to atheism. Northern Ireland Hotel kicks out traditional marriage group. The latest gender studies literature is indistinguishable from satire. As coronavirus shuts down whole countries, trans demands look more and more insane. The SNP's trans rights folly. Male and female, he created them, and for a good reason. Neither androgyny nor stereotypes, sex differences and the difference they make. The last three were all posted on the same day. Also linked was a link to UK Gay Pride Parade to go ahead despite coronavirus fears, an article that will look all too familiar to Paul, as he's the one who wrote it, in which he cites the Mirror, you may as well cite Wikipedia for all the useful info you're going to get out of that. Also, fascinatingly, looking back on it, all gay pride parades were cancelled during this time, but we also had the Black Lives Matter movement, which Paul Joseph Watson and his other group of weirdos complained about anyway. And then there was all the Trump rallies, which they didn't complain about at all. Weird that. Now, Paul pumped out this article during a pandemic that, well, I'm pretty sure he's said is a hoax. But even if that were not the case, Paul has seemed to jump to the defense of racist tirades, and having worked with Alex Jones for years, being the easiest notable example of this, and that also spreads a lot of dog whistles throughout his content. However, when we look at this article, it explicitly states that in his eyes, Paul thinks that the same people who are saving our lives in a global pandemic for no money paid by the individual when they step out of the doors, by the way, that they should accept pure poison and deliberate attempts to hurt them emotionally, should the patient not see the want to escalate it to physically, because they're different, because they don't fit his narrow worldview of how people should be. Now, if you weren't already aware of this, Paul is essentially ramping up fear in people so that they push for policy, so that he and his bigoted little friends can continue to appear and say, yeah, we want to make your life as miserable as possible. What of it? He literally wants the legal freedom to be a bully to healthcare professionals. This is what passes for journalism on the right, and I hope this has made you a little more aware. Unfortunately, although I can't grab an example right now, this hasn't changed. If anything, it's gotten worse. There's characters like John Doyle and the likes who are actually kind of going mask off now. They're not hiding what it is that they mean. The idea of a rough area having stuff like a Tiffany's is fine to them. It's not considered like saying the quiet part out loud, because they're saying so much worse stuff in the hidden areas. It's absolutely unbelievable. Now, just like the UK and its healthcare, as of the moment, could change day by day, which is terrifying. But I'm currently not charging you to do this and to listen to what I have to say and how I poke holes in Paul Joseph Watson's work. But I would really appreciate that every Thursday at 8 o'clock you go outside and clap for me. No, that's a joke. If you could, though, put a little donation in the Patreon linked below, that would be absolutely fantastic. It helps this work continue and helps me work through basically disseminating insane people. And if you would like, just give a little subscribe, like it, hit the bell, maybe look at some of the other videos that I've got on here, maybe learn about some of the dog whistles that Paul has used over the years, and help me kind of tear it apart, like show people the scaly underneath of what these people are. I mean scaly as in bed sores, not as in lizard people, just for anybody who's already watched that video and is listening to me. I'm not being a weirdo, I meant bed sores.